entertainment with some really more deep things that we don't have exposure every day. The funny thing is, I happen to be a former university teacher, so I could really give you a class in poetry or any other type of literature if you're interested. But let's read a little bit from T.S. Eliot. Alright, you ready? Let us go, then you and I, when the evening is spread out against the sky like a patient that arrived upon a table. Let us go through certain half-deserted streets, the muttering retreats of restless nights in one-night cheap hotels, and sawdust restaurants with oyster shells. Streets that follow like a tedious argument of insidious intent to lead you to an overwhelming question. Oh, do not ask what is it, let us go and make our visit. In the room the women come and go talking of Michelangelo. You following? The yellow fog that rubs its back upon the window panes. The yellow smoke that rubs its muzzle on the window panes. Licked its tongue into the corners of the evenings. Lingered upon the pools that stand in drains, let fall upon its back the soot that falls from chimneys. She slipped by the terrace, made a sudden leap, and seeing that it was a soft October night, curled once about the house and fell asleep. Do you feel the atmosphere of early 20th century urban life? I think it's very clear in this poem. And indeed there will be time for the yellow smoke that slides along the street, rubbing its back upon the window panes. There will be time to prepare a face to meet the faces that you meet. There will be time to murder and create, and time for all the works and days of hands that lift and drop a question on your plate. Time for you and time for me, and time yet for 100 indecisions, for 100 visions and revisions before the taking of a toast and tea. In the room the women come and go talking of Michelangelo. And indeed there will be time to wonder, do I dare and do I dare? Time to turn back and descend the stair with a bald spot in the middle of my hair. They will say, how his hair is growing thin, my morning coat, my collar mounting firmly to my chin, my necktie rich and modest but asserted by a simple pin. They will say, but how his arms and legs are thin. Do I dare disturb the universe? In a minute there is time for decisions and revision, which a minute will reverse. For I have known them all already, known them all. I have known the evenings, mornings, afternoons. I have measured out my life with coffee spoons. I know the voices dying with a dying fall beneath the music from a farther room, so how should I presume? You know, poetry is about feeling the mood, catching a certain, not just mood, but the whole energetic and emotional essence of a certain time period or place or just person. In this case, the whole urban scene. And I have known the eyes already, know them all. The eyes that fix you in a formulated phrase, and when I am formulated, sprawled on a pin, when I am pinned and wriggling on the wall, then how should I begin to spit out all the butt ends of my days and ways, and how should I presume? And I have known the arms, already know them all. Arms that are braceleted and white and bare, but in the lamplight, downed with light brown hair. Is it perfume from a dress that makes me so digress? Arms that lie along a table or wrap about a shawl, and should I then presume, and how should I begin? Shall I say I have gone at dusk through narrow streets and watched the smoke that rises from the pipes of lonely men in shirt sleeves leaning out of windows? Should I have been a pair of ragged claws scuttling across the floors of silent seas, and the afternoon, the evening sleep so peacefully, soothed by long fingers, asleep, tired, or it malingers, stretched on the floor here beside you and me? Should I, after tea and cakes and ice, has the strength to force the moment to its crisis? Such a British poem. But though I have wept and fasted, wept and prayed, though I have seen my head grown slightly bald, brought in upon a platter, I am no prophet, and there is no great matter. I have seen the moment of my greatness flicker, and I have seen the eternal footman hold my coat and snicker, and in short I was afraid. He's talking about death. But you got this. And would it have been worth it after all, after the cups, the marmalade, the tea, among the porcelain, among some talk of you and me? Would it have been worth it for a while to have bitten off the matter with a smile, to have squeezed the universe into a ball, to roll it toward some overwhelming question, to say I'm Lazarus come from the dead, come back to tell you all, I should tell you all. If one settling a pillow by her head should say, that is not what I meant at all, that is not it at all. Are you guys getting bored, or are you still interested in the poem? There's a little bit left. And would it have been worth it after all? Would it have been worthwhile after the sunsets and the dooryards and the sprinkled streets, after the novels, after the teacups, after the skirts that trail along the floor, and this and so much more? It is impossible to say just what I mean. But as if a magic lantern threw the nerves in patterns on a screen, would it have been worthwhile if one, settling a pillow or throwing off a shawl, and turning towards the window should say, this is not it at all. This is not what I meant at all. Well, now, because I was talking about this girl in the Netherlands that I just wrote a message to, and she hasn't responded. Because I haven't seen her in years, and now I'm thinking of her, because I feel kinda rejected by her. Even though the feeling of rejection is very subjective, right? It's something that triggers us from the childhood. But anyways, let's go on with the poem. No, I am not Prince Hamlet, nor was meant to be. Am I attendant lord, one that will do? To swell a progress, start a scene or two, advise the prince, no doubt, an easy fool. Deferential, glad to be of use, politic, cautious and meticulous, full of high sentence but a bit obtuse. At times, indeed, almost ridiculous, almost at times, the fool. I grow old, I shall wear the bottoms of my trousers rolled. Shall I part my hair behind? Do I dare to eat a peach? I shall wear light white flannel trousers and walk upon the beach. I have heard the mermaids singing each to each. I do not think that they will sing to me. I have seen them riding seaward on the waves, combing the white hair of the waves down blown black back. When the wind blows the water white and black, we have lingered in the chambers of the sea, by sea girls wreathed with seaweed red and brown, till human voices wake up us and we drown. That is the poem. The poem is called The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock. Oh, there is like a little arrow by the name, so maybe somebody actually read it, so I didn't need to read it. Let's see. Yeah, there is a... somebody has read this poem.
The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock. Let us go then, you and I, when the evening is spread out.
I think I did a better job reading it, right? Well, it's like great music, right? Anybody can, not anybody, but professional musicians can play the notes. You can read music if you've learned how to read music, but you really have to capture the feeling of the poem and somehow translate that to the poem or the song, and somehow translate this to the people who are listening to you. And I can go in a lot of detail analyzing this poem, but you know what, I'm so tired of analyzing everything in my life, and just I feel we have reached a point beyond useful analysis. There's a lot of analysis that's no longer useful, and it's better to just go back to connecting with our intuition. And yeah, anyways, I'm really tired. I don't get much sleep. I'm very worried about my trip to Amsterdam on Saturday. Should I go, should I not go, with all the pandemic and my cat missing me and all of that. Anyways, have a good night, and if anybody out there enjoys listening to poetry and maybe some adjacent analysis, please leave a comment down below so that I know that what I'm doing is for something bigger than just my own enjoyment and pleasure, which I am getting, but imagining somebody out there is also interested in the things that I'm interested in. But this is a big pain point for me, because as I said, as an LGBT person, I grew up feeling that nobody can relate to me and that I cannot relate to anybody. Have a good night.